Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk about that new Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer, shall we? So as you may well know by now, this new movie trailer has launched and it hasn't exactly been well received by the public at large. And having seen the trailer myself, I'm in a good position to explain why this is the case. And while normally I would be showing the trailer in the background, unfortunately a lot of people are reporting that it's getting content ID'd whenever they try to cover it. So instead I'll just be using still images. So while I do apologize in advance for this, I do hope you understand my reasoning behind this. I will however be providing a link to the trailer in the description below. And with that being said, let's actually start with my thoughts here. For a start, let's discuss the major elephant in the room, specifically the character design of Sonic the Hedgehog. While I could simply say that this character design is god-awful and simply move on, I do believe that it deserves a more detailed look. The first strike for this issue is the fact that this character design is clearly based off of the new school Sonic look. And while the character designs of Sonic in newer games aren't terrible in their own right, they are still hands down inferior to how Sonic looked on the original Sega Genesis. Originally, the character design was much more short, squat, and rounded, making it a bit easier on the eyes. The Sonic designs from newer games tend to have him be much more taller and skinnier, while at the same time retaining his exaggeratedly large hands, feet, and nose. Like I said, while the Sonic design in newer games isn't terrible, it's definitely not as good as how he looked originally. Meaning that, as I've said, this movie's redesign is an inferior redesign of an already inferior redesign. Which brings me to strike 2, which is the fact that the newer Sonic look tends to be associated with games like Sonic 06 and The Rise of Lyric. Games that are so utterly notorious that they're not only considered some of the worst Sonic games ever made, but some of the worst video games ever made, period. And so by basing their character's design off of the newer Sonic look, they are effectively reminding everyone of those games, which leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Of course, that isn't to say that this movie's rendition of Sonic is a carbon copy of the newer Sonic look, but it does bring me to strike 3 with this character's design, as the changes that they have made are things like making the hands, the feet, and the nose more realistically proportioned, as well as giving the fur a more realistic texture to it. The problem is that this clashes with the more cartoonish elements that they've left unchanged. So we have a situation where two very distinct art designs are clashing with one another for the same character. It simply does not work. And not only that, it actually leads to a fourth strike, believe it or not, as it gives the character a very distinct uncanny valley look to him. A very good comparison that comes right off the top of my head is that very realistic rendering that someone made of Mario way back in the day. So in my opinion, this is one of the worst character redesigns that Hollywood has made since Roland Emmerich thought he could make a Godzilla movie back in the 90s. But unfortunately, this character design is not the only issue that I've noticed with this movie. So while at it, let's discuss some other problems that may have flown under the radar for some of you. Some of the other issues that I personally have with this film happen to be some of the plot elements that have been established within the trailer. For example, one of the main things that we learn is that Sonic actually causes an EMP blast somehow that actually knocks out the power in half of the US, which is why the humans, represented by the US government, are trying to track him down, and also why they hired Dr. Eggman to help them find him. So I think it's quite safe to say that this movie is going to go with one of two tired old cliches. Either the tired cliche that humans are evil, or the tired cliche that humans are clueless and bringing about their own destruction. Both of which are well and truly overdone, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are starting to get tired of Hollywood doing the same things over and over and over again. In fact, there's only two things at this point that I can say positive about the movie. The first is the fact that while I don't believe that Jim Carrey would be my first pick for Dr. Eggman, I do think he can actually make the role work to an extent. Obviously, he's not going to be faithful to how the character is portrayed in the games, but he can at least do his own thing and still make it work somehow. And that brings me to the second thing that I can say positive about this trailer, and that is the fact that there were at least one or two lines that made me giggle a little. Overall, though, I don't exactly have high hopes for this film. But I am at least going to be a little bit curious in seeing how Hollywood tries to defend itself by blaming the fan base for hating this trailer. Considering how they've acted with the past few movies that people have been getting upset about, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them try to pull that here as well. But in any case, this has been Ace. Hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Ace out.